How's it going, Firebenders? FirePhoenixKing here today, and today we are doing another podcast. And joined today is Obi and Bruce once again. How's it going, guys?
It's going great. Thanks for having us again.
Uh-huh. Hey,
Per-
everybody.
Perfect. And today, a couple things happened this week in the gaming world. But how are you guys feeling? Because for me personally, Kingdom Hearts 4 feels very. We'll talk about it for sure, but I do want to give you guys the floor first. What you guys been up to this last week?
I mean, the Kingdom Hearts 4 was definitely the big gaming announcement for the past week. Unless on the only other thing I can really think about is Mario Golf, but nobody's really gonna want to talk about that. Mario
What?
Golf was cool.
Mario Golf is cool.
Not
It's
saying
a
it's not.
masterpiece.
I mean, it's definitely not one of those big titles, right? Like, it's not one of those heavy hitters, as a lot of people like say. But Mario Golf, I haven't played it yet. But I was like, okay, that's cool. It's alright.
Yeah, I played a lot of the original, and it's really good. Like, the mechanics are there for it being a 64 game. It's maybe not as good as Toadstool Tour, but
Oh,
it's
yes.
still a pretty fun golf game. Though, if you want a golf game on Switch, just buy Super Rush, please. That game needs
Yes.
more people to buy it. It's
Mhm.
underrated.
I loved it. I actually loved it. I really did. But I didn't have a lot of people to play with. But FireFlowerPower may play it together. Who knows in the future? But what about you, Bruce? What you been up to, man?
Oh man, I finally was able to actually have a day set down of just playing Xenoblade 2, and then I've been playing a bit
Yes.
here and there. And yeah, I gotta say, so like the first time I played it was like maybe about like 2 years ago. It was right around the time that Xenoblade 1 Definitive Edition got announced. And so because that was going to be like an 8-month wait, I was like, well, maybe I should play 2 in the meantime to kind of scratch that itch. And for some reason, I guess I just wasn't really feeling it exactly. I didn't think it was bad or anything,
I'm
but I
really
kind of just
feeling it.
I kind of just put it down at some point, but I picked it back up. Now I started a fresh file, obviously, but yeah, picked it back up, and I'm actually having a really good time with it. The combat is jiving a lot more with me now. Now that I kind of have accepted that it's a little bit slower than the first game, but it has its own stuff that makes it really cool and chaotic, for lack of a better word. Xenoblade combat can be kind of intense sometimes, but and then there's Tora, who makes the game. Well, Tora's
Great.
okay.
So that will be friend
But-
of Rex.
Yeah.
Well, no spoilers for me, but yeah, I do see that. But I can confirm Fire Phoenix King has purchased Xenoblade Definitive Edition on Switch. So thanks to Gruz and Obi for both
Yep.
pushing that on to me. I was not forced to say that.
Oh, I drove to his house last night actually, and I put him on a headlock and I made him buy it.
That's right.
Obi
Bullied
actually
him.
scared me when he showed up. It was a pretty neat surprise. So thank you so much for stopping by. But it was actually a pretty neat surprise. Was a little jump scare. But yes, I did buy it, and I do look forward to. And I'm trying to see where I can fit that in my schedule. Bruce and I have been talking more about playing other games like Kingdom Hearts on stream, and having his input into the Kingdom Hearts stream, and maybe streaming Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition with both Gruz and Obi, so they can see my reaction to the alleged Oscar-winning gameplay cutscenes. Apparently,
It's above the Oscars. It goes
snap.
beyond the Oscars.
It slaps
It's its
harder
own
than
category.
Will Smith. Oh shit!
Yes.
All right.
Plot
had to
twist
say it.
after plot twist. There's a plot twist within every plot twist.
Okay, okay.
That's right.
And I'm looking forward to it because I've said before, I definitely played the 3DS, the new 3DS version, and I got to a certain part. I didn't get too far because I actually did not know what I had to do. I was just lost. So we'll definitely check it out. I'm very excited, but as I've said, I've told these guys, I have other things that I want to play on as well. But Xenoblade is now on the top of the list. I want to look forward to it. I spent money on it, so I want to play it. Speaking of something new, I do want to also talk about Kingdom Hearts 4, ladies and gentlemen. It's finally confirmed. It's something that obviously we all knew it was gonna come, but with Square Enix officially showing footage of Kingdom Hearts 4, I do want to which I'll get with Groose, because I know Groose is a very big Kingdom Hearts fan, and we may do like a separate little deep dive on the Kingdom Hearts series along with our playthroughs of the Kingdom Hearts, the Dark Seeker saga, which I'm planning on, so we can appropriately do this. But I do want to touch about Kingdom Hearts 4 in particular on this podcast, because I do want to hear you guys' opinions. But my initial thoughts about the trailer, I'm worried about the game, about the fighting. It goes back to its attack item and the other two. So I'm kind of interested. I mean, Sora did lose a lot in Kingdom Hearts 3, so that kind of makes sense. But him able to wield a keychain, which I didn't know it was a keychain, that he did like a little whip until Gru's pointed that out to me. I actually didn't know that. I thought that was pretty cool. It does feel a little weird that it is a realistic world, but another thing that Gru's pointed out, and this all happened off air, so every time I say that, don't go back to a previous podcast hoping to see that. But another thing that he did point out was this could potentially be, their sort of push for the Marvel worlds, the Star Wars worlds, which kind of makes sense. And I did like the realistic in terms of the graphics. It looks very nice. Unreal Engine 5 is crazy, but overall, we didn't get too much. We didn't get any story or anything. Obviously, the only story thing that we got was that it is Quadratum, as many fans speculated, but I'm looking forward to it. But I really hope they don't start showing up too much throughout the years. I kind of want snippets, because this is a new saga. But anyways, I'll stop talking because I keep talking. But how do you guys, whoever wants to talk first, Bruce, if you want to go first, by all means.
Yeah, you can go first, Greece, because I don't have a whole lot to say. I haven't really played Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, 3, but I guess I can say real quick, I really like the way it looked. It reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake, so that right away has me hooked.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. New Sora looks like a combination of like Hope from FF13 and then Denzel from Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which is really weird. And one of those characters is great, and the other is Denzel, who everybody hates. but yeah, like man, there's so much emotion going on. I really didn't expect to be as excited as I am, because I'll just without going into a whole spiel, I'll just put it out there. KH3 was kind of a disappointment for me. I really ended up not liking it at all, and the only thing that made it redeemable for me was Remind, mostly just because of the bosses that they added. But yeah, KH3 overall was really disappointing for me. I think the most exciting thing here is that because it's a new saga and we're finally done with Xehanort, I think like a reset of like let's give the characters new stuff to do, like stuff like that. I think it could potentially make it a lot more interesting, and we don't have to rely on backstory that we've been saving up since Birth by Sleep. We don't have to worry about, the man behind the man, this guy was actually the bad guy, but it was actually this guy. But the entire plot of Kingdom Hearts 2 was worthless because it was actually this guy. Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I don't exactly agree with Nomura's writing half the time.
And this is again like, because I also want Obi to be part of the podcast too, because I don't want this to be just a focused Kingdom Hearts thing. But I will have to I have to touch on it because you said it. But I used to agree with the fact that the story was like, confusing. Yes, there's still some aspects that I don't understand it, but I don't know if it's just like the way I just play the games or the way I process things. So even in movies, like if they're not in chronological order, I'll force myself to watch them in chronological order. I haven't touched Star Wars, so I'm not even going to go into that field, but like the MCU, how they release like randomly, and then you can actually see them in Disney Plus in order. I had to see them all in order for the story overall to make sense. Same thing with Kingdom Hearts. Playing them as they release, which Birth by Sleep I never touched that until 1.5 Remix came out. As of recently, as of last year for the PS5. Not that it just came out last year, but I recently obtained a copy. Anyways, so I actually told myself, well, maybe I'm not understanding it because I need to play them in chronological order. And once I did that, I understood it. So again, not to talk too much about it, but I'm not as lost. Like, now I understand it. Like, the whole point of Xehanort was that he wanted to live through a Keyblade War, which he successfully did. However, when he fought Aqua, memory loss, and I could actually tell you in detail what the actual story is. But yes, there are that deems some games, like you said, like that deems Kingdom Hearts 2, like that game should have never happened.
I mean, like the way I look at it is like, one, are you doing something that works off of your original games? Like, are you doing something that works off the story of KH1 and 2? And two, are you doing something that is written well? And I'd say BBS onwards, not really. But that's just me, and that is a whole other discussion, definitely.
Yeah,
but
which I can't wait.
I think a reset with KH4 is exactly what the series needs, because the stuff with Xehanort, the organization, all that, it got so damn tired by that game. I was actually angry at the end of Dream Drop Distance. I hate that game. So Sora's in a new world. He's in Quadratum. We have stuff with Yozora's gonna be there, definitely. Strelitzia's there for the people that played the mobile game. Spoilers, I didn't. I don't care. I'll watch a YouTube video on it later. But yeah, but that's the thing though. It worries me because, like, on the other hand, they just talked about how we're getting the new mobile game about Xehanort, Dark Road. So it's like, so what is it, Square? What is it, Nomura? Are we done with Xehanort, or is he still going to be an important character?
Yeah.
Well, so that worries me.
Even like in Melody of Memory, they did that shit too, where it's like they had told us that the Xehanort saga ended with Kingdom Hearts 3. Then Memory and Melody, Xehanort is like, I'm still in your heart or whatever.
He pulls a Sephiroth and is like, I'm still in your memories.
I'm still here. So yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, for sure. I kind of hope that really is the ending. For that.
One thing I will say too is that like, Sora looks really good. Like, Quadratum, that whole world looks really good. But I think that the graphics are only going to be like that for that world, because it's supposed to be from Verum Rex, Yozora's game, which I guess is supposed to be basically a Final Fantasy game. And like, I think that's cool, but I also, after seeing those graphics, I'm like, damn, I kind of want a whole game in this style. But I know eventually Donald and Goofy are gonna find Sora, and then they're gonna reunite, and then Sora's gonna go to other worlds, and then that's the other thing too. I am trying desperately to find somebody to bet $100 with me, because we are 100% getting either Star Wars or Marvel. It's gonna be one of them.
Since you said that, I'm sure that's gonna happen, because you said that and like it clicked, and I know people have been putting up videos like in one portion of like the river, I think, screenshot there, you can see like an ATS or something that's called like that. Sorry for Star Wars fans if I didn't say that. AT, yeah.
It's Endor. That whole forest world is like 100% Endor.
I definitely can see that, and that would be cool. But for sure, we'll definitely dive deep into Kingdom Hearts lore and stuff, and we'll have that straightened out as soon as possible. But Obi, I know we've been talking about Kingdom Hearts, but tell us, is there anything else that you're looking forward to as of recently or as of last week? Something got you hyped?
Anything that got me hyped? I mean, honestly, that Kingdom Hearts trailer was pretty hype. But not in the last week. I am pretty hyped about Xenoblade 3.
And I think they released that what's it called, the cover art or something?
The new key art. I think they mistakenly uploaded that to the website.
Oh.
Is
And
that what
that's
it
how.
was? Like it wasn't intentional, I think,
Oh, okay. I didn't
but
know. I
yeah,
just started seeing that.
and the box art like is really interesting. Like I'm like I don't even need to mention it because it's kind of obvious, but it's kind of combining the box arts of one and
One
two
and two.
together.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so it's going to be really interesting to see what that does because for the longest time, like Xenoblade 1 and 2 were like loosely connected. And that's why I'm really excited to be playing 2 now. Because getting something that combines those, potentially having characters from both games showing up is going to be really crazy, especially for me because one of my favorite characters from the first game, probably my favorite character from the first game, is probably going to be in this new one, and I am very excited about that.
And I don't remember. Were one of you Chrono Triggers fans?
I
No,
am.
but I've wanted to play it.
Cause
It's super good.
that remaster new or did I miss something? Cause I know I
Oh,
did see that last week, but I was like, am I late to
Wait,
these
what?
news?
There's a
yeah,
remaster
for
for Chrono
for
Trigger?
Chrono Cross, Chrono
Oh,
Yeah.
Chrono
Cross.
Cross.
Oh,
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was the sequel on PS1. That it doesn't really have any story ties to Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is just done by the same team. It kind of has a different setup too with its gameplay. I never played Chrono Cross, but it definitely has its fans, and from what
Mm.
I've heard, the remaster is pretty good. So
Oh, okay. So
you know,
they're
good
two
for them.
different things: Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely
okay.
completely different games.
I'm gonna
They're
get
like
canceled.
very simple.
That's
I
cool.
can tell you that Chrono Trigger is one of the best RPGs of all time, and like
The ne-
up there with Final Fantasy VI is like the best of the Super Nintendo.
that's the next game that you guys are gonna make me buy for the next
Probably.
Well,
playthrough.
Hey,
you
that
would
one's
have
not
to
long as
find a
hell though.
Super Nintendo or hook up your Wii. Well, I guess the virtual console's down. You don't have a Wii U.
There's a Steam version of Chrono Trigger actually that's pretty decent, or you could get the DS version, which is probably the best way to play.
I don't
Or
think
you
you
could
have the
emulate it.
DS.
Just throwing it out there.
Just putting it out there. Hey,
Yeah, you
it's an
can.
option.
If you're trying to go legit, though, I don't think you have any options because you sold your Wii U.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's
I
not
did.
even on the Wii U, is it? No, it
What
wasn't
about?
even on there.
No, it
The
wasn't.
virtual
Do you have a
console.
3DS,
I
Phoenix?
n- I think I have one of my XL. I would have to look for it, but not on hand where I'm like, oh yeah, I know where it is. But I'd have to look for it. But
Well, if you ever wanted to
Probably.
play it,
every,
you could play the DS version.
but I think we had talked about this. I think Bruce and I talked about this last night actually. But Kid Icarus, man,
Oh,
I
the
want
Bandai
that
Namco.
back. yes, that I was gonna talk about that. That apparently, and I have not confirmed this myself, like me, like looking up more than the Twitter post that I saw, but according to the Twitter post that I did see, Nintendo is having Bandai Namco remaster a game, and I really hope it's Kid Icarus, but like how isn't Bandai Namco the one that helped Smash? So aren't they
Yeah.
just like a fighting game publisher? And I'm sorry for my
No.
ignorance, but
No, they do a lot. They do a lot of stuff other than just fighting games.
are they the ones responsible for Resident Evil?
No, that's Capcom.
Okay, see, I always get Capcom and Bandai Namco confused for whatever
Put
reason. I
it
think
this
it's
way:
just the
Capcom is Mega Man, Bandai is Pac-Man.
See, I think that's why I
There
got
you
them
go.
confused because it's almost like dissimilar, but Capcom, man. Okay, well, what do you guys think? They're gonna if that's true, because like I said, I have unless you guys know or have researched it a little bit more in detail. Do you guys, which title do you guys think that Nintendo would have them port over or remaster or whatever they're working on?
I think they're
I
porting
mean,
Elden Ring. It's obvious, right?
Oh my god! Oh my god! That would be cool.
There's a 0% chance that
5
Elden could run on a
FPS,
Switch.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness! Cloud version.
a slide
it would
show.
have to be a cloud version.
But like, imagine the perfect cloud version where it's good. Nah, it probably won't happen.
There's no such thing.
But speaking of the Bandai thing, someone I think it was on Spawnwave. You know who that is, right?
Yeah,
Spawnwave.
they're great.
I was watching his show and he had mentioned that there was a rumor or back when Nintendo announced Prime 4, the big rumor was that Bandai was the people behind the development of Prime 4 before they scrapped it and gave it to Retro Studios. So people are saying
Oh.
maybe they're
Mm.
remastering the Prime games.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
it's Prime Trilogy. It's finally time,
It's
maybe.
finally time. Well, mm, what I've heard rumors about that, I think a lot of people have also touched up on this. I'll have to look, but apparently, oh, I think it was maybe it was Emily Rogers or that one Detective Mouse profile pic guy, but they had confirmed that Prim Trilogy was already ready, but they're actually just Nintendo's just not launching it until they really need to. But also the other speculation was that they wouldn't launch it until closer to Prime 4 just to assist with like drive hype, driving the hype and stuff, which would work because then, like I've said in a previous podcast, I haven't played any of the Prime games, so having the trilogy on Switch would definitely make me like again like part of the chronological order situation that I have going on. It would help me play 1, 2, and 3, and then jump into 4. So I like that because what Metroid Dread is, it's a sequel to
Main
the
series.
main series. Okay,
Yeah, it's the fifth game in the main series.
Sequel
Whereas
to
the
Metroid
Prime,
Fusion.
yeah, mhm.
and
uh,
Prime, it's its own thing, like its own saga, I guess.
yeah. Prime kind of it fits into the timeline like somewhere in between Metroid. Like I think either between Metroid 1 and 2 or between Super Metroid and Fusion. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, no, cause that would be interesting if they are remastering Prime, like if they're actually not ready and they're doing it now. But even then, Retro Studios is, I believe, still the studio behind Prime 4, correct?
Yeah, I don't
Yes.
think they've changed that at all.
And that was interesting, because one thing I did not talk about last time when we were talking about this is so Retro Studios was the one responsible for the Prime series, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So why
Yeah.
was it that Nintendo decided to go without Retro at the beginning, um, without them? Because then that's when they released that one video where they were like, "Apologies, we thought we could do something new with it. We're gonna get with Retro Studios." Do you guys really believe that was the reason? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think they just didn't want Retro to be just like a Metroid studio, and they wanna like, not force their employees to only work on Metroid, so they can have a bit more creative freedom. But in the
mm.
end, Nintendo was like, "Yeah, this isn't working out. Retro, apologies, but we're gonna need you guys to work on this."
Oh, so it
Well,
might.
I
Okay.
remember, wasn't there a rumor like towards the beginning of the Switch like life cycle that Retro was working on a game, and it was just like nobody
That
knew
has
what it
been,
was, but
yes,
yeah.
dude, that has been like the biggest rumor for the longest ass time, like since the Wii U. That's been going on. Like, okay, what's Retro working on? Because they released Donkey Kong Country Turbo for
Oh
free,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
and
When
then
people were
there was
saying
a
that.
gap.
Yeah, that was like
But
the last actual game they developed. So they had something they were working on, and it would honestly
Oh,
kind of suck if Nintendo was just like, "Hey, stop doing that and make Prime 4." Like I want Prime 4, but I mean like Retro, I want to see what kind of crazy stuff they're cooking up.
really?
yeah,
Like you think?
sorry, there was a strong rumor that they were working on. Y'all probably remember this, like the Star Fox racing game. Do you remember that
Oh
rumor?
yeah,
Oh
but that was
yeah.
apparently used to like bait out who was the one giving industry secrets or something like that. Like that was apparently a trap by Nintendo to see who was doing the leaks because apparently the
I
game there
remember that.
isn't real. But even then, I mean, you can't really stop a leak. Or what's gonna happen is you could probably fire the employee who's doing the leak, but even then, leaks happen for a reason. So, I think that that's probably what they were doing because I do remember that. And unless it's real and like, Retro Studios was like, it was leaked. We're gonna take a break, go to Prime 4. But that I think that would be pretty interesting. Or maybe what if it's F-Zero GX? That would be cool if they bring that back with an actual Star
Some,
Fox
something I want to
character.
mention here is that couple years ago, Retro Studios, I think it was 2019 when Reggie was retiring. Retro Studios sent Reggie like this picture thing with a drawing, and in the background behind the statue, there's like this hand that we don't know like what it was, like what it's from. So people are guessing that maybe that's from like a new IP. But
Oh, that's the
Oh.
in Lavender Town when you talk to that girl and she's like, "Oh yeah, that hand on your shoulder, it's not actually there." That's what that is. No,
Okay.
ignore me.
No, no. So it's gonna be like now.
Is
Imagine.
that Mighty Number Nine's hand?
Oh my
Did
god,
they pick
Maggie
him up?
number nine. Which reminds me, didn't weren't you, Bruce? Weren't you part of the Kickstarter for ukulele or like
Ukulele. Yeah.
ukulele? Yeah, I remember. I remember
Uh-huh.
that. That was cool. Wasn't Mighty Number Nine also a Kickstarter project?
It was, yeah, and it
Wow.
was well, it was a lot less successful. Like I mean, like people look back on Ukulele and are like, "Oh, that game wasn't really that good," even though I think it was still pretty good. But
Hmm.
nobody looks fondly on Mighty Number Nine. Everybody knows that that game came out like trash.
Oh, poor
Yeah.
guys. Well, it was made by the fans for the fans.
Yeah, Kickstarter games have always been a little weird. Like
Mm.
everybody really loves Bloodstained, which was the game made by Igarashi, who did the Castlevania, the Metroidvania Castlevanias, and that game was cool, but it was like I don't know, it was channeling the worst parts of Symphony of the Night and Aria of Sorrow a little bit for me. I wasn't as into it.
Oh, well, I still kind of want Dylan from Dylan's Rolling Western to make a comeback. So who knows?
Oh
Maybe
my god.
maybe Bandai Namco cooking up the HD version for
HD
Dylan.
version of Dylan's Rolling
60 frames
HD
per second.
shovelware.
Yeah. Oh, and then Obi just shared that picture of that robot hand. That's right. I do remember that. I do remember that. But so Bruce, you're saying that hand is from an IP that we do know of?
No, I was totally joking.
Oh, I was that. Oh my god! I was like, oh my
That
god.
is that is not Mighty Number Nine.
Okay. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, like I don't think they ever did anything with it. And then even then, yeah, that is weird. I would really want to know what that is. I mean, who knows? Maybe if it's a project taking forever, like Breath of the Wild 2, when are we getting our next real look into it? We've only gotten what, one trailer? And
Yep.
I think someone had made like a chart about the Kingdom Hearts series of like their way of bringing out news and when the game would be ready. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 was the only one that was like had a big gap. Breath of the Wild 2, I think the other thing I was reading last week, within the last week, was that the Switch may not be powerful enough to run Breath of the Wild 2. So a lot of people are,
Oh
speculating that
yeah.
again, like Breath of the Wild 2 may be launching with another, which was also my thought, because I think if you remember in Breath of the Wild 2, the trailer, Jesus, you know
The
how
what?
like Link is running and then there's like the sky bases up above. That
Mhm.
that's a lot, isn't that a lot? Like for the Switch to handle. Like I'm not a engineer or anything like that, but just looking at the
Neither are the
gameplay.
people on Twitter. Neither are the people on Twitter being
That's
like,
true.
"Yeah, there's no way that the Switch." Look, okay. Do you know how important this game is to Nintendo? They're
Yeah.
gonna optimize it as much as possible, and they wouldn't forsake smooth gameplay for a gigantic world and then the game running at 5 frames per second.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
like they know what they're doing. I don't know why everybody on Twitter is pissing their pants over like, oh, dude, there's no way. And even then, Nintendo would know how important it was to if a Switch Pro was coming with it, they would know
Hmm.
how important it is for the native version to still run really well. So
Kind of like
no,
they did with the Wii U and the Switch thing.
exactly, yeah. Like the Breath of the Wild ran the exact same on Wii U from Switch. So like, there's there's nothing to worry about here. Nintendo knows what they're
Yeah.
doing. This is their most anticipated game possibly ever. So
I
they
think part of the frantic on Twitter why they're being so crazy is because of Age of Calamity, but they have to realize that that was made by a third party that's not known to optimize their games pretty well. Like
yeah, no.
Three Houses. Did Bandai make that too? No, it's
Uh
whoever's.
no, Oh God, who does make the Dynasty Warriors
Yeah.
games?
Oh, that name escapes me, but it's some Sumai stud. No, not Sumai. Area 51.
Tecmo,
No, Tech.
Koei Tecmo,
Koei
Koei
Tech.
Tecmo.
Yeah,
Tecmo.
that's right. Koei
Yeah,
Tecmo.
and they make games for every console. Like Persona 5 Strikers was on every console. So yeah, that it doesn't surprise me that they wouldn't know how to optimize for Switch.
Yeah.
That's a completely different development team. That's a completely different game. The gameplay is completely different. So
Exactly, but I think people are looking at that and they're like, "Oh, this runs bad, so Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna run like that too." It's like, dude, no.
yeah,
It's
no,
completely
I am
different
an
development
engineer.
themes, completely different game.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about. I have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
No, I can definitely agree with what Gris is saying. Especially with Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo is always going to want to optimize for their systems. They've said multiple times that Switch is in their mid-life cycle, so on and so forth. And even if it is for the next Switch, they wouldn't just ditch their Switch owners immediately. You know how many Switches there are out there. It would definitely be a transition, a smooth transition, to the next console, which
The
definitely is
PS4
something.
to PS5.
Yeah, I like how they did theirs where it was more so of an update, which we were talking about in a previous podcast as well, where, PS4, Call of Duty did it where you had PS4, but if you had a PS5, you could update the game. Now later, nowadays, if they release a new game, it'll flat out tell you to buy the PS5 version, which comes with the PS4 version. But I mean, hey, if you have both consoles, that's cool. But for someone like me, I have to pay $79 for that PS5 version. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, so it's something that for me personally with the whole prices thing, it's also something we could talk about if you guys want to. But the whole price thing for me, like it is what it is. Kind of goes in hand on hand with what Bruce was saying. I'm not an engineer, so if a publisher is charging me 79 for a game, and if I'm gonna get it, I'm just gonna buy it. For me personally, the price has never been something. I mean, unless a game is 100% like trash, like it shouldn't have been a game. Like for example, Skyward Sword. So that game was great. It was great to serve the price point of $59.99. I
That's
could
twice that you've done this now.
Oh boy.
Obi was getting ready to. No, I think let me see. Do okay, actually yes, I do. And not just to keep beating a dead horse, but Destiny. So Destiny launched for $59.99 with only like 7 campaign missions and then like 3 repeatable strikes. Those kind of games, no, you shouldn't charge $59.99. But then again, I'm not an engineer. Yes, it costs, you know, a lot of man hours to do the game. So, but that's why I don't really personally talk about the prices, because I'll buy the game. I'll buy it if I buy it. If I don't buy it, I don't buy it. But
I mean, the way I see it is like you have $60 has been the norm for a
Standard,
really
yeah.
long time, uh, with inflation and everything, and like it kind of, I don't know, it just makes sense. I think it's something. It's one of those things that the first company that starts doing it seems really evil, but I mean, for only $10 more, like I don't really mind having to pay 70 for a game instead of 60. Like I don't know, I just that doesn't bother me as much as like, oh, buy this pack that has both Pokemon Sword and Shield in it for the exact same price that you would pay if you bought them separately. It's like,
Oh.
okay, uh, yeah, like I don't know. I guess it just doesn't bother me too much. The developers deserve the money half the time, even though the
Yeah.
company is the one getting it all. Um, yeah, again, like going all the way back to the NES, games were $60. So with inflation, it
And
kind
that's
of makes
and that's
sense.
what I was gonna say. Were they really 60? So I remember I actually had found a picture. I was looking through some old pictures from my childhood, and in one of the pictures, I clearly saw in a newsletter, like a newspaper, sorry, with the ads. Oh, I don't know if it's an ad. What do I call it? An ad newsletter? Well, anyways, it was an ad by Target, and Ocarina of Time was selling for $59.99. So yes, like games were always $60, huh? Like I
Yeah, it
Yeah,
guess
was like
and
I
I,
think around the GameCube and PS2 era, that's when they came down in price, and the Wii they went up a little bit, and now they're $60 again, 70, 60, 70.
yeah,
yeah, and the other thing that needs to be said too is that unless it's Nintendo, most companies won't keep a game at full price for like very long. So if you like Capcom for example, give them like 3 months after a game is
hmm
dropped. Like I got Resident Evil 8 on PC, and then I got the PS5 version like 3 months later for $20.
Oh wow.
So like yeah, most companies will dip their price unless they're Nintendo because
Oh
I guess they
yeah.
value their products a
Yeah,
lot.
because Nintendo
But
does not do, and when you do, you have to kind of get in there ASAP. Kind of like what I did with Xenoblade, because Xenoblade, it started as a joke where you guys tagged me on a Twitter post because it was on a discount for $40 instead of 59. It was 39.99. But Cruz, what I didn't tell you yesterday was that I went to my the Best Buy on the online website, right, and I actually used points to take another $20 off, so it was actually 19.99
oh,
for when
let's
I
go.
got it. Yeah, so it was really good and I like those. So pro tip, make sure you guys are using also, the online websites for your
This
favorite stores.
podcast is sponsored by Best
But
Buy.
Best Buy, please shoot me a sponsor. But yeah, no, with the whole price thing, yeah, like one thing you said is that I definitely do agree. At the end of the day, the money does go towards their hard work, and whether the game is good at the end of the day or bad, you can at least have that conversation, freely on Twitter. You may get canceled for it, but at least you do have an opinion. Because
The thing
again,
that I
like,
always hate. No, you go ahead and finish.
oh no, well, no, go ahead. I was just gonna say that, yeah, it's just your opinion, and Skyward Sword is good, so
It is good. I agree. End of podcast.
the podcast.
Uh, no, the thing that I always hate is when somebody tries to like equate like game price to
Oh
time
yes,
you play the game. I
yeah,
hate that so much, dude. Because like I got I
Metroid
the
Dread.
same I got the same amount of enjoyment out of Metroid Dread as I did with Elden Ring. My Elden Ring playthrough was like 70 hours. My Dread playthrough was like 8 hours. Which 8 is still really good
Mm-hmm.
for a game like that that's supposed to be replayed a lot. People will look at like the Devil May Cry games and think besides cutscenes, they're way too short. When like the whole point of them is for replay value and other stuff. But even then, like it always super bums me when like an indie developer makes a game on Steam that's like really good and really cool, but it's under 2 hours, so people can refund the game if they play it within 2 hours and just completely get their money back. Like then, so the developer gets nothing out of it. Um, I hate that so much because there's a lot to be said about really short experiences like that, especially with indie games. There's so many good indie games that, especially in horror, that are super short but sweet. And even then, you would get replay value out of it. So like, don't equate money spent to time spent on a game because it just shouldn't be it. You should focus
Yeah.
more on the quality, what the game has to offer, replay value, that kind of stuff. Which I guess people just don't care about replay value nowadays because everybody's trying to quickly get through this game so they can
Mm-hmm.
move on to the next thing. Like a whole bunch of people are already like, okay, I'm done with Elden. And it's like, man, I'm
Yep,
already
on
planning
the
my next
next thing.
playthrough for when the DLC comes out. And it's like, man, sometimes you gotta look back. Sometimes you gotta look into your backlog and actually attempt to,
I feel like
complete it a little bit.
Very
nowadays
beautiful.
most people play like whatever's popular just so they could like talk about it with their friends or so
Mm-hmm.
they could get more views on YouTube. They don't really play
Oh
what
yeah,
they want to play. They're just like, oh,
Yeah.
this is the thing now. Let's play this.
Yeah, no, and
yeah.
that's
You gotta get
something
those
that
clicks.
that's something that for those that are grinding, yeah, definitely, do your thing. But I think what Obi is saying is more so like, for me personally, it's like if I want to play Majora's Mask, I'm gonna play it, whether it's hot or not the topic of the Twitter. I'm gonna play it, which is great.
Yeah.
And I
At
think
the end of the day, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Oh no, you're fine. No, no, it's that, I think, to each their own, but yeah, for sure. I think some people should be able to play whatever they want whenever they want.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if somebody tries to tell you that you're dumb because you spent $60 on your favorite Zelda game, but with better controls and graphics and quality of life, uh, screw you. I don't care. Skyward Sword is awesome, and I'm
E-
really glad that I bought the Switch version. So go to hell.
Exactly. So exactly. So when I tell Grooves to buy Super Mario 3D All Stars on Switch, he's gonna say,
No. I said there's a big difference between there is a big difference between don't judge me for what I want to buy
"Yeah,
versus don't judge me for what I don't want to buy.
yeah, exactly." Nah,
There's a
yeah,
big difference.
yeah, no, and yeah, which kind of brings me to something I wanna also talk about, which is kind of weird, but not really weird, but in terms of protagonist, who do you guys who's your favorite protagonist? And this could be across any sort of studio, any publisher, so it could be anybody. um Mine, of course, is Mario.
Tell us a little bit about Mario.
And it's something that Cruz gave me a good idea to talk about. I have other protagonists like Mario in a cart, Rabbit Mario, Paper Mario, Sunshine
Yeah.
Mario, Melee Mario,
Completely-
Brawl Mario.
completely different characters. Yeah.
I promise they're all different.
Dr. Mario. Yo, how did I
Dr.
forget?
Mario. But what about you guys? What's your guys' favorite protagonist or character?
You don't want to talk about you don't want to explain why Mario is your favorite?
I did talk about it in one of our podcasts, but I do want to give you guys the quick summary for those tuning back in and those new coming in. Mario to me is just he was the first game I ever played, and after that, it was just a character that I really clicked with. And you know how like when you read a book and you click with the book, or you just like the heroic scene so much, like you just want to grow up and be like a particular hero. That's Mario to me. And he's so inspiring. And
Yeah, you want to get the girl, get some cake. Yeah.
and yeah, no, it's the adventure side of Mario that's cool, and the brave, and just being there with friends. So I think it's really cool. Yeah, some people could say, what about Sonic? It's similar characteristics. Sonic to me is just funny. I wouldn't see myself as that, like, speed and stuff. That's not my thing. But Mario was also my favorite because once he was already my favorite, but once I saw the Fire Mario, whew, that was just like, that's
That was
awesome.
it.
That was it. That was it.
That was the end. Yeah, it's funny you say Sonic because I would say among my top ranks is Sonic the Hedgehog, um, because like just looking at him like we were saying last week in the Sonic 2 movie, how well they're getting his character now, uh, and looking back at the old games like the adventure games, like I don't know, Sonic has just always had that perfect energy for me because I mean, yeah, going fast is really cool, and yes, I am a speedrunner thanks to playing Sonic games, but Sonic's also just he's kind of it's the same reason why another one of my protagonists that I love is like Dante from Devil May Cry, is because just being able to laugh things off, being able to laugh at your villain and be like, yeah, you kind of suck, gonna be honest, dude. Hey, look, a giant talking egg. Uh, yeah, Sonic, but all of his buddies too, like the camaraderie that Sonic can have with people. That's why, regardless of what people think about it, I still love like the story to Sonic Unleashed. Because even though Chip as a character kind of sucks, the camaraderie between him and Sonic ends up being really good. Same with all of his really good moments with Tails, like in Sonic 2 movie. All the good moments between the three of them, like Sonic Heroes. Uh, Sonic just has such a genuine, fun aura to him of just like, yeah, he just wants to have a good time and
Yeah.
protect people and eat chili dogs. So, in
That's
fact,
cool.
to some people, chili dogs is his whole personality. And gotta go fast. You're too slow. But Sonic would be up there for me.
Yeah. Which is I've and growing up as a Mario fan, I used to I used to know this person that would love Sonic. I guess kind of like to your level type, just love Sonic. And when they added Sonic to Brawl, that was the dream match.
Ooh, yeah,
I
that
was
was
Mario, he was Sonic. We would go at it for days, even though he would always lose. He enjoyed the fact that we could finally settle it in Smash.
Settle it!
Way before when that motto came, into play. It was just a really cool thing that my favorite character was Mario, his was Sonic, and we were able to duke it out in a fight. And yeah, I don't know how he would do it because he would lose constantly, and if I lose constantly, I'm gonna stop playing. But what about you,
Sometimes
Obi?
it's fun regardless.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, I feel like I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to like the protagonist I'm playing as. A lot of the time, it feels like it's just an extension of yourself. But the one that really stands out the most to me is Pit from Kid Icarus, especially like
Ooh.
in Uprising, because it's not just you. Like he has like a personality. He's funny. I really love how they did his character. So I would say he's probably one of my favorite protagonists that actually has a personality. But other than that, I mean, well, of course, Shulk. He also has a personality. He's not just a let me not.
Shulk's got a great personality. What are you talking about? Shulk made me realize that revenge is actually awesome, and you should always go for it.
Oh god. Shulk,
I was gonna say,
the
Shulk is
Monada
not
boy.
just an avatar. Shulk is not just like an avatar character.
Yeah,
He has story.
he has a personality. He's a nerd, and again, like that's something to be said too. This could be a whole different discussion. Is like parties in games or like groups of people, because especially because I play a lot of RPGs, so something that's always important in every RPG is party camaraderie, and Xenoblades is fantastic, especially the Shulk and Ryan's relationship. God, I just like I would hope that everybody has a friend like that where just they're always by your side, and
So
yeah, it's
you know
beautiful.
how okay, so you brought up like the whole group thing, and it may be like for another podcast, since the podcast is at pretty lengthy right now, but I just want to touch upon this because something you said that you, I guess you guys are the type of players that are focused on stats. um I'm asking because for me, I'm more into the cosmetic, if it feels right type of player. So, even in Call of Duty, where like, oh, this gun is the best, like you have to use it, and then everybody uses it. The meta. Even like in RPGs, or oh, this character, you need to have them in your party because. So for me, I don't know why. Like for me, like if it feels right, if it looks right, I'll use it. But if I guess I could. I don't want to say I could care less about the meta because there are some times that I do listen to it just to beat a mission or something if I'm having like a really hard time. But I haven't done that in years. Um, but is that something you guys focus on, like stats on the game that you're playing, or is it like, oh no, like I want
Depends.
this person in my party because it looks good, like I'm trying to, like, for example, in Mario and Rabbids, I would always have Mario, Luigi, and I believe it was Rabbit Yoshi, because I would always like Mario, Luigi, Yoshi. But since you can't have, I believe, three of the same, you have to have a rabbit. I would pick Rabbit Yoshi, but for me, it's like that because even my girl, when I see her play Destiny, she's going based off the meta, and it's like then you see me, my character, and it's like not meta, but I'm still like a really good player. Like not to say that not by having the meta you automatically suck, because no, you can still play your way, because also something that Obed said about the extent of the main character being an extension of of you. It's also how sometimes I will view the role playing games. Like one thing that Destiny gets absolutely right, that I will say, I'll give them credit for is that their RPG element of you being the guardian is amazing. Like, because you are the guardian in that story. So I personally do like it when you get to create your own character and you are the character. I like those, and also like I kind of want a. I'm starting to talk, but I kind of want a game that's like Kingdom Hearts, but for Nintendo, where your me is going from world to world in like an RPG style game. I think that would be pretty cool.
It would actually be fun. And take from
Yeah.
like a bunch of Nintendo worlds.
Yeah, and because kind of like Nintendo Land gave me that idea too, because you know how you're always playing as your me, just going into different theme, attractions. I, I I saw that and I was like, that could be a game, but I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It really depends on the game. I would say generally, I prefer having like a protagonist that is a character that they've made rather than having a clean slate. Because more often than not, I feel like the game doesn't have the ability to put your character like if you've created the main character and they're supposed to be you and like they're like a silent protagonist there are not many chances for them to have like emotional moments because since it's supposed to be you they can't program in every single possible thing that everybody would want to say, so then you have like a list of 4 things to say, and some games do it really well, like Mass Effect does a pretty good job, even though Shepard is still kind of a character. You kind of just form how he looks and how he acts. But I would say when it comes to picking in like RPGs, like something that you like versus something that's better in stats. And I would say the best kind of RPGs allow you to do both because the best RPGs have characters that appeal to different kinds of stats. And like for me, for example, Dunban in Xenoblade Chronicles, he's entirely about agility. He's entirely about dodging stuff. Dunban is cool as hell, and he's easily my favorite character in that game. So I always have him in my party, so that works really well for me. It just also happens to be that his stats are sick as hell. And same with games like Persona 4. When I played that, I had all the girls in my party because they were all my favorite characters, and they all happened to be really good at different stuff. Chie kicks ass with physical damage, and then Yukiko and Naoto do other good stuff with magic.
So
The
yeah.
Persona 5, I was able to have Yusuke and Ryuji because they just do massive amounts of damage, but they were also my favorite characters out of the party.
Yeah.
So
I love when that
Hey,
happens.
the
number one
the
fan.
oh yeah, Ryuji's fantastic. I wish I wish he had more spotlight, if anything.
Yeah, I love when that happens when you actually enjoy a character and it's like your favorite, but they end up being one of the OP characters. It's like, I didn't ask for this. Like they just, they're my favorite. Yeah,
So
like
I
Terra.
think that's the thing. Oh god. I think
have
that's the
to
thing of
mention-
RPGs.
I have
Go
to
ahead.
mention something real quick on the topic of Persona and the character you like being not what you wanted to be. So I recently got Persona 4 Arena, and I've been kind of playing it a bit. And my favorite character, which is Junpei Iori from Persona 3, I was trying to main him, but out of curiosity, I googled like the tier list for the game, and he's like second to last. So
Yeah,
he's like
but on the level that you're playing, the tier list isn't gonna matter. The tier list matters only for like top 8 of Evo, you know. It's like trust me, in any fighting game, regardless, unless you're trying to play Kirby in Melee, or if you're trying to be that one guy that plays El Fuerte in Street Fighter, don't ever worry about a tier list.
Oh.
You can still do sick stuff as every single character in most fighting games,
My-
including Junpei.
My thing is like, if it has fire, I'm gonna use it. Like that's my thing. If it has fire, I'm gonna use it, and it could be
Junpei has fire.
the-
with his baseball bat.
if it's like, even if it's like the worst character, if it has fire, I'm gonna use it. I don't know. That's something. But we're gonna wrap it up here at the FireFlowerPower. Do any of you have any comments, suggestions before we head out?
I mean, we had a good discussion. I don't think there's anything else we should add at this moment, but we can definitely come back next week
Definitely,
to be continued.
definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
we can maybe talk about full parties or more protagonists. I know I
Yeah.
have a couple more. So
I think that
definitely-
was good. We can talk about why the BBS trio is one of the best trios out there. but all right, firebenders, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm not sure if I know I've been usually ending these in buys, but I know if you guys want to plug in your YouTube channel or social medias, feel free to do so. Gruce, Obi.
Oh, I'm okay.
Cool,
I don't
cool.
have anything.
You can find me at FirePhoenixKing on YouTube. I do Smash commentary, and I'm in the podcast every week.
Yeah.
So be sure to subscribe to FirePhoenixKing at YouTube,
Well, thank you.
and also FirePhoenixKing live on Twitch.
Live on Twitch.
Yeah, be sure to follow, sub there. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Gruce. But alrighty,
Same.
firebenders, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care and bye bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
See ya.